Welcome to the United Stand. Manchester United 0, Liverpool 3, and it's the same old story for Manchester United and Erik Ten Hag. And the big question has to be why? Why have Manchester United not solved a glaring issue when they knew they had 3 Premier League games before they signed Ugarte? Why was that not done sooner? And why is it so okay to give up on 6 points in the first 9 to sign a player that you paid what PSG wanted anyway? Why are we still making similar mistakes to that we've always made? And also, it's time to call it out. Erik Ten Hag is sacking himself. I don't need to say it. You don't need to say it. That guy is an absolute confusion. And I think that's in his head, let alone our head. Absolutely stunning. And we've got to start saying it how it is. That is never acceptable. Never acceptable to get beaten by your biggest rival in your own backyard again, easily, efficiently, comfortably, with a smile on their face, knocking it round. It could have been 6, it was 3, it was comfortable, it was easy. It was easy. And yet, there are still people in this fan base protecting certain players. Oh, it's not Bruno. Oh, it's not Rashford. Oh, it's not Mainu being overworked. Oh, it can't be Maguire. Oh, it's not Ahmad. Oh, it's not Garnacho. Call it for what it fucking is. We're going to do the player ratings in a minute. Onana never makes a fucking save. We had a goalkeeper for 10 years. He's not at fault for why the shot happens, but when does he actually ever make a decent save? What did we buy him for? Because we didn't buy him to play out from the back, and he's not a good shot stopper. Every decent shot's a goal because he's not a world-class shot stopper. We had one of those. If we were going to play the same way like we have done, why did we let De Gea go? Marcus Rashford, I tell you what, I might shock people here. It's not his fault. He doesn't pick the fucking team as far as I'm aware. But something sinister is going on at this football club. We've either got the biggest plonker in charge of this football club, and I don't think he is, or something sinister is going on there. We're meant to be Manchester United. We're meant to be a football club that wants to win things. And yet, every season, either Man City or Arsenal or Liverpool will roll into Old Trafford and absolutely embarrass us. And we have to sit there and just go, that's fine. We've now got people saying Rashford put 2 crosses in. He's not the problem. He's not the fucking problem. He's had no shots on goal in the first 3 games of the season. He started every single game. He's just played the full 90 minutes. He's not put in an average performance in about a year. And yet he is not the problem. Now, it's not his fault, but tell me please, because this needs to be out there. What sinister is going on at Manchester United that means that Marcus Rashford has to keep playing games for Manchester United? At what point is somebody with a brain and a voice in the mainstream going to say, why does Marcus Rashford start every single game for Manchester United? Why does he rarely get dropped? When he does get dropped, why is he always back on in the 60th minute? Ten Hag spent £80 million on Anthony and kept him on the bench all game today. Marcus Rashford plays the full fucking 90. Garnacho hasn't even started a game this season. He's on 70 minutes, off you go. Ahmad comes on. Ahmad should have fucking started. Player of the month, scored last week. He gets benched. It's all to accommodate Rashford. Like, I'm not even blaming Rashford because he doesn't pick the team. But what is it about this player that I'm missing? Why is he the obsession every fucking game? You can't carry players in the Premier League. He's a 6 out of 10 at best. 2 crosses into the box. Fucking start him for another year and a half then. That is not good enough for 350k a week. That's not good enough. And if you think that's good enough, you're a fucking idiot. And then there are bigger issues than that. But I just want to say it because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the favouritism. We will never progress as a football club when we keep with favouritism. He should not have started the game today. Should have been Ahmad on the right. Garnacho's now having to play out of his best position to accommodate Rashford. Ahmad's having to go as our best right winger to the bench. And then 2 crosses into the box and it's fine. He'll start against fucking Southampton. This has been going on for months. What is it about this player that makes him allowed to get picked and we have to bench better talents for him? It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. But it's not the only thing. It's not the only thing. What is it about Martinez, Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford that he won't sub them either. Why did the Lit have to come off after 70 minutes? Martinez was on a yellow card. Why does Maguire come back on? Why didn't you use Anthony? Why are you bringing Eriksen on? It's baffling. It's not as bad as last week, but unfortunately, less mistakes this week, but better opposition. You get your pants pulled down. It's a concern. It's a massive concern, and I don't really give a shit whether people agree with it or not. I think 75,000 United fans agreed with it when they booed the substitution of Garnacho. So even from a fan community point of view, you can't ignore this shit anymore. It's incredible. And if Ten Hag wants to come out and say, oh, that stupid analysis from Alan Shearer, or that stupid booing from Man United fans, I'm very happy with the way he's playing. Well, maybe you and him should go and manage a club that's of a lower standard, because you cannot carry players at this level. And if you think 350 grand a week justifies that, or you think that Manchester United should be a vehicle for a player to rediscover their form they lost 18 months ago, then who the fuck are Manchester United? Because ultimately, that's what we are. It feels like we're a vehicle for an expensive player that we made a mistake on to rediscover his career. And the last time I checked, it was Manchester United FC, not Player FC. And that's what it feels like. It feels like, I don't think Ugarte is going to solve Man United's problems. I think we will be better. But do you think we are going to compete for the top four with the same stupid decisions being made? It's incredible to me. It's incredible. But look, many people will say, why are you not Ten Hag out? Well, because it's the third game of the season, and I just think that that's incredible to say that after 3 games. We've got Southampton after the international break. Ugarte will definitely start, and hopefully our season will start then as well. Do I think he's under big pressure? Yes. Do I think because it's not Ten Hag out now, it won't be Ten Hag out by Christmas? He's given himself no room. He's given himself no room. I think in the summer, there was a movement to sack Ten Hag, and they may be feeling very justified at the moment. But there was a vast majority behind Ten Hag. And we must focus on Ten Hag here. We mustn't bury this under the sand. We must discuss this for a moment. Ten Hag had a massive amount of support in the summer to stay in the job. Huge from myself and many of you. And that was justified. Maybe it wasn't, maybe it was. But what he has done in the last 2 weeks is erode that. And when you've got 75,000 fans booing your substitutions, when you're being humiliated by Liverpool at home, we've seen this movie before. We've all seen this movie before, and we know where it goes. It means you will be out of a job for Christmas. Start booking yourself a nice lodge in Sweden, Erik, because you won't be managing on Boxing Day. We've seen this movie before. Bad start to the season, booing, trust gets lost. You don't get sacked now, but when your next bad fixtures come up, that's it, you're gone. And there are tough fixtures in October. There are tough fixtures in November. So I think that he is basically sacking himself. He's on the road to that, and so, unless something incredible happens after the international break. After the international break, Ugarte will start. Casemiro has fucked it. If we want to play I told you so, a lot of people were saying in pre-season, Casemiro's back. Fuck off, is he back? I actually have a bit of sympathy for Marcus Rashford. I have a bit of sympathy for Bruno Fernandes. I have a bit of sympathy for Casemiro, because they're all very expensive players who looked absolute. And I will say this. We're paying 350 grand a week for Casemiro. We're paying the same for Marcus Rashford, and we're paying 300 grand a week for Bruno Fernandes. That is £1 million a week of talent on the pitch today. They wouldn't get near Liverpool's bench. Not like that. Maybe Arne Slot could coach them into Liverpool bench players, but none of those players would get anywhere near Liverpool's team. Nowhere near. Diaz and Rashford, forget it. Salah and Rashford, forget it. Bruno would not get in that midfield 3 or in Jota's position, forget it. And Casemiro, I don't think he'd make their bench. So we're paying £1 million a week to Bruno, Rashford and Casemiro to play against Liverpool and get humiliated, knowing they wouldn't even get on Liverpool's bench. And that is a massive, massive problem. So Ten Hag, after the international break, will bring Ugarte in. Mainu is doing 2 people's jobs at 19. It's incredible how... I just feel bad for him. But we'll still have problems in the front 4. Rasmus probably won't be back. So he'll still pick Bruno, Rashford, either Ahmad or Garnacho will get benched and then, Xerxes up front. So I don't necessarily think Ugarte will make us be able to beat Liverpool. Ugarte would not have made us beat Liverpool today because going forward, I thought we were fucking shit. But we will be better for it. I mean, look, Casemiro, do I need to say anything? I think your bloody dog could come in here and give an analysis on how bad Casemiro was. But the funny thing was, you know what? There is a system error. If you want to talk about systems, there is a system error here as well. We bring De Ligt in. The defensive line was still too far away from the attack. What does that say to me? Yes, Maguire can't play a high line and De Ligt can. But if you don't play a high line, it doesn't matter. The gap between the defensive line and the attacking line is still too big, and the space in the midfield is too much. I noticed something at the start of about 20 minutes into the first half. I said it in the watch along. Some people might remember it. I noticed something that I noticed against Wolves in the opening game of the season last year, and I hated it. So basically, you had two centre-backs. They split. Holding midfielder drops in, Casemiro. There is no one in the midfield, and your fullbacks basically are next to your wingers, and Bruno's up there. And it basically is, you have this 3 and then a 6 and nothing in between. And it's weird. It's really weird. And it didn't work against Wolves 2 years ago. A year ago. And it won't work here. I don't know what it is. It's like we go, holding midfielder drops in, everyone bombs forward. I don't even know what it is we're trying to achieve. But in the second half, it happens again. Mainu gets the ball. There is nobody near Mainu. He is the holding midfielder. His 8, his 10, his right back. Nobody's anywhere near him. And then Liverpool swamp him, win the ball back 3-0. Now, look, Mainu made a mistake. Casemiro did it twice. Those players need to be called out for losing the ball. Casemiro was a fucking disgrace in the first half. But that's systematic. That is systematic, how that happens. And you've got to look at that. We are very, very easy. If we don't pass perfectly, our number 6 gets exposed and then you're on the back 4. So systematically, it was embarrassing today. There was some embarrassing individual performances, which we'll talk about in a moment. Where do we go from here? I mean, it's so difficult to sort of figure it out. I mean, Liverpool are a good side. They've got 9 points from 9. It was easy for Liverpool. I mean, they really could have fucking put the neck down. It's not the first time I've said that. Man City a couple of times as well in the second half at Old Trafford have gone easy on us. They really could have put the foot down and absolutely killed us. Oh, just on Rashford as well. I'll defend him on this. It's not good for him, but I'll defend him on this. Second half, remember when Trent had that shot and it got blocked? Rashford was just like this, 40 metres away. And I was like, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. I've seen this happen so many times. I've seen the right back for the opposition nearly score goals and Rashford sort of walking back. And I'm like, no manager at any level is not going to sub him off for that unless you're telling him to do it. We've got a coach that is basically saying to Rashford, you've got the Ronaldo role of 12 years ago. Not even 12 years ago. What am I talking about? 16 years ago. You don't need to track back. You don't need to track back. You can save your energy for attacking. I said this 18 months ago. You cannot do that in the modern game. You cannot say to your winger, whoever it is, whether it's Marcus Rashford or Mo Salah, there is no such thing as a free roll. We used to do it with Ronaldo years ago. Don't worry about tracking back. You can save your energy for this pace that we need on the break. But you can't do it. You can't do it at this level. Nobody does it. Pep Guardiola doesn't do it. He doesn't say to Doku or Bernardo Silva, don't track back. You know, Slots or Klopp don't do it. But we do. People complain that Rashford doesn't track his right back. If he wasn't doing it, well, maybe he would still get picked based on what I said in the first few minutes. But it's very obvious to me that Ten Hag is saying to Rashford, you don't need to track back. You just conserve your energy. So we're basically just giving the right back the opportunity to go forward and double team our left back. Incredible. Now, maybe in the Eredivisie, you didn't need to worry about that. But in the fucking Premier League, it won't just be Liverpool who do that to you. Fulham will do it to you as well. That's just a tactical observation because, look, Trent had the freedom of fucking Old Trafford today. You know, are we going to give him a medal or something? Because he scored a goal. Remember that offside goal? Very, very lucky as well. I also think that it's going to be a hard international break. There's going to be a lot of analysis. But you've got to look at the midfield. I said it before the game. I didn't agree with Ahmad being dropped, but I didn't think it would be the reason why we lost the game. And lo and behold, it wasn't. The midfield, every goal came from the midfield. Every goal came from the number 6. We've got a number 6, and his name is Manuel Ugarte. And he will play against Southampton, and hopefully he's going to be transformative, because a lot of people say United fans are overhyping Ugarte. What the fuck else are we supposed to do? Like, anybody who knows anything about football, who watched that game today, it doesn't matter whether it's Kimmich, Ugarte, or prime Casemiro, Man United absolutely need Ugarte to work, because if he doesn't, we won't even be in the top 8, because you'll be watching that every week. So Ugarte comes in with massive pressure. Not only is he a good signing, hopefully, it's absolutely essential, because if he doesn't work, we are totally and utterly screwed. So that deal has to work. Look, I think I know the answer to this, but it doesn't make it a solution. I want to shock people here. You might get really shocked. I'm stood up. You might want to sit down. It wasn't a surprise that we were playing Liverpool today. It wasn't. It wasn't sprung on United yesterday morning. They told us in mid-June that we were going to play Fulham, Brighton away, and Liverpool at home before the transfer window closed. Right? And for some reason, despite Casemiro being as shit as he was today for the last 3 months of last season, we thought, well, we do really need a holding midfielder. And we actually had one who played quite well to win us the FA Cup, called Amrabat. We won't renew his loan. We won't try and buy him. We'll leave him. And we won't buy a replacement either. What we'll actually do is we'll start this season weaker than how we ended last season. Because the FA Cup win was Amrabat, Mainu and Bruno. So we decided to start the season with Casemiro, the guy that Ten Hag dropped from the final. We started the season with Casemiro, Mainu and Bruno, eyes wide open, knowing we had to go to Brighton, knowing we had to play Liverpool. So effectively, we decided to gamble 9 points away. Now, we've took 3, but we've dropped 6. And Casemiro cost us a goal at Brighton by vacating the back post and 2 goals today. So that decision-making, whoever was involved in it, has absolutely fucked the start of this season. So I don't know who you blame for that, because somebody has to be blamed, but Ugarte coming in at the end of the window is catastrophic. The season started 6 weeks ago. And people will go, hold on a minute, we didn't play Fulham 6 weeks ago. No, pre-season started before Fulham. Like, he should have been in by the middle of July. Because you know what? Mazraoui's important, De Ligt's important, Xerxes important, and Yoro's important, but none of them are more important than the number 6 that we don't have. And I think that, to me, is confusing. Now, this is probably not the show to go into it. I think we had to sell McTominay to afford Ugarte, but you just can't put yourself in a position like that. The Premier League is too competitive. You cannot just be handing up 6 points. And also, even if you did say, we're not bothered having to come from behind, we think we'll catch up, we will catch up, you're still sacrificing reputation by losing and embarrassing yourself against Liverpool. Why put yourself in a position like that? Why go into a game like this, eyes wide open, weaker than you were last season? And people forget that. It was Amrabat who played in the FA Cup final. Casemiro was always going to be a massive risk. And we can moan about the selections of Rashford. Some people are moaning about Bruno. But the point is, Casemiro is 350k a week, 32, and absolutely shit. And we're starting him against a Liverpool side that's not shit. And that is why things like that happen. Let me just get some of your comments, then we're going to get into the player ratings. Erik Ten Hag is doing what Ali did, played his favourites that will cost us points and builds frustration. You know what, Amir, as well, considering that's Manchester United against Liverpool at Old Trafford and you're 2-0 down at half-time, I was fucking disgusted by the reaction to it. I'm not naming names because, you know, there's probably 2 or 3 that come out of it okay, but I'm not going to name any names apart from Toby Collier, who gets thrown into an absolute Coliseum with the Lions. You're 2-0 down against a hungry Liverpool side. You're coming on for Casemiro against Liverpool, and he didn't really do anything wrong. And I was terrified because his whole career could be fucked today. And I thought Collier deserves a lot of credit because it's horrible to get thrown into that. And he did okay. But the rest of them, not all of them, but the rest of them, you're 2-0 down at Old Trafford in front of your crowd against your biggest rival. And the amount of, you could see it in their face. Moodiness, petulance, it's not my fault. You know, bollocks, absolute bollocks. I don't think there was enough fight. I don't think there was enough pride. And I think their heads did start to drop. And I'm tired of that as well. I really am. Really tired of it. Ash says, this one really hurts. For the first time, I'm losing faith in Ten Hag. He looks so small sitting in the dugout today. All of the top 4 contenders look miles ahead, says Ash. I think it's Ugarte or bust, isn't it? If Ugarte doesn't work, we'll be fucked. And even if Ugarte does work, he can't play every game. So we'll have to play Casemiro in certain games. Last keeper conceded 7, and you mentioned Onana, says Don. I'm not getting into an Onana debate, although we will do in a minute with the player ratings. We can go on and on about Rashford not tracking back, but what does he do with the ball? When was the last time you saw Rashford try a take-on? Says, hey, but he put 2 good crosses in, mate. He's not the problem. The fact that we're having to bench talented young players, the fact that we're having to bench, sub Garnacho so he can stay on, he put 2 crosses in, mate. There's nothing sinister going on there. I mean, is there something, you know what? I can say it. I know for a fact that they do exist. 100% exist. It's not just been invented by Football Manager and FIFA. Player contracts do have terms about game time. Ronaldo had it at Man United. They do. The bigger player you are, the more it has. What has he got in his contract? Has he got something in his contract about game time? He might not. It might just be complete and utter, stupidity from the manager. But, something weird's going on. We are now neglecting the development of Ahmad and Garnacho to keep doing this same thing over and over again. We miss McTominay. I don't think any idiot's going to say that. That's why this window cannot be a 7, says Rooney. Our final was Amrabat, Mainu and McTominay, says Billy. Bruno played as well, mate. What is the issue with... And also, we're talking about the number 6. What is the issue with Rashford, Mark? He isn't performing to the level and Ten Hag still replaced Garnacho and kept him on, says Sankit. Every starter was a Ten Hag signing or contract, says Ashan. Preach, Mark. Missing out on Amrabat is criminal, says Keel. Erik Ten Hag is doing what Ollie did, play his favourite, says Amir. I asked the question about midfield roster a few shows ago. Definitely shy in midfield. Pressure on Ugarte. Need to be patient with him, though, says David. Cannot imagine how Sir Alex feels watching this, says Tok. I mean, I don't really care what Sir Alex thinks, mate. How do you feel? How do I feel? We're all bloody United fans. Probably feels the same as us. Casemiro, Mainu made mistakes. Collier struggled, but Fernandes was not doing enough to help, says SG. Maybe Souness was right about Casemiro. Maybe I've played the game FC was right. I don't know what he said about Casemiro, Black Wolf, but he said it at the start, and Casemiro's first season was very good. I don't see any difference from previous seasons. Nothing is ever convincing with this team, says Salim. Mark, you're saying he will get sacked on his next bad patch. He should be sacked now, says Owen. How do you take Garnacho off and keep Rashford on, says Aftab? I don't know, mate. I'll give Ten Hag a chance to use Ugarte, but if things continue to go wrong, not sure how much I can take, says Jace. I think that's where I am as well. 3 to 4 more losses and Ten Hag sacked, says Quinn. Onana, terrible decision to bring... I think that's a great point by Quinn, by the way. He won't get sacked for losing 2 of the first 3. But as soon as you start losing 6, 7, 8, which he probably will, that's it. So I would say November, Christmas, get ready. Because it'll be 6, 7, 8 losses and he'll go. And that will be around November, Christmas. Onana, a terrible decision to bring him in. Ahmad is just okay, says Chris. Why do we end up with the bowed version coach, says Stevie. Love Bruno, but it's ludicrous how he can turn creative offensive midfield plays into utter shit, says Zippy. Players lost as the game, says Brian. How is it that the 2 highest paid players on the field are also the worst, says SM. Why are we playing a system where Casemiro is a playmaker, says Double D. Mark and Bruno and Rashford are the main problems. Even Anthony should play over Rashford, says Stephen. Leave the football before the football leaves you, aimed at Casemiro, says Sam. Casemiro is a bowl of custard, says Michael. Bruno won't play over Gravenberg. The things you'll say to back this manager, says Itam. Do you know where Gravenberg plays in the Liverpool team, mate? You maybe go and learn about football because Gravenberg doesn't play where Bruno plays, and Gravenberg will get picked over Bruno every fucking day of the week. You don't even know football, pal. Do you know where Gravenberg plays? Ross, welcome to Members Club. I was at the Brighton game and the disconnect between players and fans is mad, says Joe. The fact that Ugarte wasn't registered is a disgrace. Erik's Ten Hag head is gone. I'm tired of favouritism. Anana is shit, says Desiree. This break is going to be rough. Media all over Ten Hag, and rightly so, says Geordie. Can you please, next time the United stand have an interview, we'll get a question asking why he constantly chooses Rashford over Ahmad. And yes, here comes the driven agenda and clips machine. Individual errors cost us, says Manchild. Simple. Rashford was fine, better than Garnacho. Agenda blinds. Man, I'm not going to move over that one. Rashford's been shit for 18 months. He's not had a shot on goal in 3 games. He's not had an average performance in 3 games. You are championing our biggest and best player because he put 2 crosses into the box. They were good crosses. I would expect him to do 10. I would expect him to take 3 or 4 players on. I would expect him to have 2 or 3 shots. And you're championing 2 shots. And actually, mate, my biggest point is not the fact that he put 2 crosses in. It's the fact that you think that's enough. It's the fact that you think 2 crosses into the box is enough to start every game and play 90 minutes. That's my point. I'm not for 1 second saying that he didn't put 2 crosses in. And I'm not for 1 second saying that he was way worse than Garnacho. But my point is, he gets treated differently to everybody else. He starts every game, he plays more minutes, he gets protected. Even fucking the manager came out and protected him in a press conference and he didn't even need to do it. When Solskjaer criticised him, he had to start the press conference by saying, before I take any questions, I just want to apologise for what I said about Rashford. There's something weird at that football club. I will call it out. You can not call it out if you don't want to. It's been going on for ages. There is something weird going on at that football club around that player, and it's probably not his fault. It might be in his contract, but he gets preferential treatment. Yes, he put 2 crosses in. Is it enough? Should Ahmad be dropped, who was player of the month and scored a goal last week, for him, who was shit? No. So explain it to me. I'm not saying he didn't put 2 crosses in. I'm not saying he was total shit. But why is it, this has been going on for years, that he gets preferential treatment? When Manchester United, David Beckham was kicked out of the club because he did too much PR work. Ruud van Nistelrooy was kicked out of the club because he fell out with one of the players. Roy Keane was kicked out of the club because he slagged off a couple of the young players for not being good enough. Marcus Rashford's done plenty wrong and he still starts games. It's weird. That's what I'm saying. I was at the game, Mark. Casemiro didn't sit on the subs bench after half-time. Might be nothing in it, says Daly. Well, he'll be fuming, won't he? We'll end up sacking him. New manager will have to rebuild, says 9 Matt. And I'm sorry, Ten Hag really is losing my support, says Scott Page. Thank you, mate. Sorry, we've got to do the I'm just telling the forum that we'll be starting at 6:45. 9 Matt 2 says we'll end up sacking him. New manager will have to rebuild from Ten Hag's deluded Ajax, Dutch, Manchester United. Scott Page says, I'm sorry, Ten Hag is losing my support. Too many mistakes. And you know what, Scott? On Ten Hag, I think that's the most disappointing thing. When a manager has the fans in his palm of his hand, and he did, he had about 80% of us. When a manager's got the fans in the palm of his hands, and then he loses them through his own stupid decisions, it's so disappointing. Because Ten Hag had us all. He had that support, he had that contract, and he had the players. And what he's effectively doing is, through favouritism, he's actually losing the fans. You know, he's putting his favouritism ahead of the fans. And that's incredible to me. This time's only the 3rd game. These results have been happening for a year, says Robert. Nothing in this team works, says Shadowmaker. Do you think a team with many flaws can find a structure? Look, it ain't looking good, bruv. I'm not gonna lie. It's not looking good. Rashford playing a man down. Bruno is not a midfielder. He's all over the place. And as a result, we've got 2 midfielders being overrun, says Taylor. Mate, this system's shit. Mainu, Casemiro, Mainu, Collier, they were getting overrun. It's a shit system. I mean, there's too much space in the midfield. There was too much space in the midfield last year. We're not even using the striker as a striker either. I mean, I would just simplify it. I would just go to a much more compact. The back four is fine. I thought the back four played well. I think they just got overrun. The back four is fine. I'd play a double pivot, a proper number 10, a striker who plays on the last man, and 2 wingers. And what we're doing is we're sort of playing some weird shit. It's almost too intelligent. It's shit. It's weird. You look at the system and you go, hold on a minute. The 6 is now between the centre-backs and everyone's gone forward. We're playing a 3-6. It's weird. It's almost like it's trying to be too clever. In this situation, everybody run forward. But in this situation, let's do this. It's like football's very simplistic, and it looked weird today. Most of our wingers are crap. They can't dribble. They can't score. They can barely cross. Track back half-arsed. Casemiro's legs have gone, says Jamie. At this point, I don't know if Ugarte is even going to start. He'll find, no. I think probably the only positive today is that if we'd won that game or drawn that game, Casemiro would start for the next month. But because Casemiro was so shit, you can't start him against Southampton, so you've got to start Ugarte. And also, Ugarte will play for Uruguay in the international break. Apart from the Rashford one, the substitutions are not the biggest concern. De Ligt off because Maguire is right-footed and Anthony can't play on the left, says Leonandes. Ugarte will not change. Insane substitutions, says Ahmed. What about Kobe? He still needs to develop and it's unfair. Zico, I've already called out Collier and said that he can only be praised. And Mainoo's 19 and he's doing more fucking running than Mo Farah used to do. It's incredible how much running he has to do. It's incredible. I think people forget that a year ago, Kobe Mainoo hadn't even really played for Man United. He's been to a Euros, he's tired, he's been overplayed, and now he's having to do two people's running. It's incredible. And he's also going to make mistakes. He's also going to miscontrol the ball. He's also going to miss a tackle. We're treating him like he's got to be prime Steven Gerrard. And he's actually 19-year-old Kobe Mainoo thrown in at the deep end. And I've got nothing but praise for Mainoo and Collier in the second half because you're up against a machine, a well-oiled machine. That Liverpool team may have a new manager, but it's not a new team. They did well to keep it to 3-0 because at half-time 2-0, I was like, I didn't see anyone else stepping up. We tried to play Liverpool at their intensity and we found out. Knew it was coming after 25 minutes, says SG. Broken under the old leadership, even more broken under the new leadership, says JS. All you lot were pushing to sign a petition to keep Ten Hag, and now look at where we are, says half-time Origers. This is all your fault. I don't take any blame, mate. We'd won 2 trophies in 2 years, and I wanted to see year 3. I'm not changing my mind. I'm sorry. You can blame us if you want for supporting a manager that had won 2 trophies in 2 years under an absolute dictatorship that was shit. I think he deserves year 3. But what he also deserves is the sack if this carries on. That's football, mate. It's absolutely no apologies. You stand by your opinion, but there's no "I told you so" and there's no apology. Obviously with hindsight, I might make a different decision, but I still stand by it. And I'm not saying Ten Hag out now either. He'll sack himself, mate. I won't need to sack him. It's too early to say sack him, but it's not looking good. I will admit that his decision making. I'm probably more angry with his decisions against Brighton than I am today. Today, Rashford should have been dropped, and realistically, what else could he do? Casemiro had to play because Ugarte wasn't here. He made a lot of mistakes today, but Brighton was the one that pissed me off the most because he made stupid mistakes in that game. We should have beat Brighton, and then today's loss wouldn't be so big. But I was looking at this actually just before going to player ratings. Look at it this way, right? Look at this. Man United fixtures, yeah? Our next game is Southampton away. They're shit. They're absolutely shit. They lost at home to Forest. They lost away to Brentford. They're shit. If we lose to Southampton, that might be it. That's the sort of game that, although it's early in the season, 3 from 4, losing to a relegation candidate, he might go. On the other hand, it should be a game that we win. It's away though, and it's 12:30 right after the international break, and Ugarte's probably played on the Thursday night, and so's Martinez by the looks of it. I don't know. We'll have to look at the timings for that. He's then got Crystal Palace away, which again, we lost there last season. That's very difficult. And then we've got Spurs at home. That's difficult. And then we've got Villa away. So if you want Ten Hag to be sacked, our next 4 Premier League games, 3 of them are away. Crystal Palace, Villa and Southampton. And then the home game is Spurs. That isn't the hardest run. There's no Man City and there's no Arsenal. But Villa are more than capable of fucking dominating us at Villa Park. Palace did it last season. Southampton we should win. Spurs at home, playing that open, they'll fucking kill us. So the next 4 games are the right sort of games to sack your manager. Because when you play Liverpool, there's always they're so much better than us. When you play Man City and Arsenal, they're so much better than us. It's humiliating, but they're so much better than us. your Crystal Palaces and your Villas and your Spurs, they're the ones where lost 3, lost 4, you start to go, we ain't going to turn this around unless we turn it around. So I would be watching out for those types of games, definitely. Missing Mason. Erik Ten Hag system is predicting and bad, says Alberto. I was Ten Hag in this summer, but I think we can all see where this is going. Sacked by Christmas as I see dead bodies. A board that saved so much in wages this window couldn't bring back Amrabat on loan, says Tomo. Ten Hag, the only manager I know who subs his centre-back every game, says Dazzo. Players lose their heads. Hopefully Erik Ten Hag gains back momentum after the break. We have been here before, says Red Pill. Southampton, Barnsley, Palace and FC20. The next 4 games are already must win for us, says Carol. And Ten Hag doesn't have a game plan. He plays on opponents' weaknesses. Look, I'm going to go into the player ratings now because we could talk and talk and talk, and I know they're ready on the forum. But ultimately, if you ask me for a prediction, I think at the moment, I'm not saying Ten Hag out. I want him to do well. I want him to turn it around. But this is my honest assessment. He's probably going to be gone by Christmas. He's massively disappointing. I'm really, really still not over what he did against Brighton. And I'm really, really tired of the favouritism. I said it in the summer, I wasn't going to stomach it. And I'm not going to stomach it. I mean, it doesn't mean anything. I'm not going to stomach it. But I'm tired of the favouritism. And you know what? We'll probably beat Southampton, but he'll pick Rashford again. And we'll probably beat maybe Crystal Palace, and he'll pick Rashford again. And then we'll go and lose games again because he ain't never switching it back on, is he? And that will be his downfall because until, and I just think there's something sinister going on at that football club where we're not really a football club. You know, Ineos come in and talk about best in class, best mentality, and we're seeing exactly the same problems as last year. We're seeing exactly the same space in the midfield. We're seeing exactly the same players being picked, and we're seeing exactly the same players not getting the game time they deserve. And, you know, it's frustrating. Right, player ratings. Let's do this. Okay. Look, if Ten Hag gets sacked, I don't think this guy will last. I just don't. I think for Onana to have a future at United, it has to be holding hands with Ten Hag. I think if a good manager comes in, then... Sorry, if a new manager comes in, one of the first things they'll do is get rid of Onana. And it's not because he's awful. He's just a very average shot stopper. And when you've got a very average shot stopper, they don't make big saves. He's not at fault for any of those goals today. But the third one, I was pulling my hair out because I'm like, it's savable again if you're a top-class goalkeeper. And he never makes those saves. And they always go in. Like there was a shot that went just wide and I was like, he's nowhere near that one either. And it's like he just doesn't make big saves. And we don't utilise what he's actually good at, which is passing out from the back. So he's, you know, he will survive if Ten Hag survives. But if Ten Hag goes, I think it would be an area that would be looked at to be improved. Mazraoui, I thought he started well and then became overwhelmed by the, relentlessness of Liverpool. So I think that, sorry, I'm getting a lot of people asking for a sacking poll here. I mean, I don't care. I don't care. You vote for what you like. I think it's incredible to think that you should be sacking the manager after 3 games when he's not even had the chance to use his most important signing yet. But you vote away. If that's what you want, fine. I think it's massively reactionary to sack the manager after 3 games when Ugarte's not played a game yet. I think to say he'll be gone by Christmas and sack himself, yes, I agree with that. And I would vote for that. But I'm not sacking him and I'm not saying Ten Hag out because until Ugarte plays, you've got to give that a chance. Otherwise, what's the fucking point? Why would you buy him and then you let Rude use him or Southgate use him or whoever comes in? De Ligt for me was a 5. I thought that, again, very similar to Mazraoui. I thought they played really well in the first half and I thought he made really good tackles, but they just got over... They conceded 3 goals. You can't really give defenders an average 6 when you've conceded 3 goals. And I don't think 5 is going to be the worst score, by the way. But they just got overwhelmed. Same with Martinez. I think it was a 5 for me. They just got overwhelmed at the back. You can't defend when you've got all those runners running off you. Like there was 3v4s and 5v4s. It was overwhelming for them, of course. And the same with Dalot. I thought the whole back 4 started well. And then they just got overwhelmed. I don't think the back 4 were the problem. I think If we had a decent midfield and a decent attack, that back four was capable of beating Liverpool. They were capable of getting a clean sheet with a better midfield and attack. But if you get swamped, there's not a lot you can do. So I don't really blame the back four. I'd give them all a 5. One of the worst performances we've ever seen in a Man United shirt in such a big game. The trouble is, he might have played worse for United, but when you do it at Old Trafford against Liverpool, our biggest rival, I mean, it was shit. And he got subbed at half-time as well. Even the media, even the manager agreed. It was awful. And I think we've said our piece. I think Mainu was probably a 4.5 for me. I would agree. I would almost give him, if he was 28 years of age, you'd probably give him a 3. He's 19, he's overrun, he's overworked, and he had a bad game. But, no one's going to dwell on Kobbie Mainoo. He's our future, and he's being overworked. Bruno is not in that camp. He's just been given a new contract. He's the captain of the team. I've got to give it a 3. I thought he was very, 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 very off it today. I don't think the discipline was there. I don't think the leadership was really there. And I think he was found wanting. So, look, I like Bruno. I love Bruno. But today, it's a low 3 for me. You've given him a 4. Fair play. Garnacho, again, I'd probably sort of go 4.5. Garnacho, yeah. Look, he didn't have a good game. People will say, why are you moaning about him being subbed? Because it's always Garnacho or Ahmad, isn't it? And this is the guy that, you think about the goal against Everton. You think about how good he's been for his last season. He was one of the contenders for Player of the Year. I don't know why he's suddenly gone back to being a bench player. And I don't know why he's gone back to being expendable. But he needs to play games, and he needs to play games in his best position. That goal against Everton, he was on the left wing. He is best off the left, and he can't play off the left because this guy has to play. Look, it's a 9 for me. He put 2 crosses into the box. That's what I want. 2 crosses from 3 games, 300 grand a week, star boy, put a smile on your face. This is the guy. This is the future. Let's change our name to Marcus Rashford FC. He's absolutely doing, I don't know why people are laughing. He's put 2 good crosses in 3 games. That's probably one of his best bits of play in 18 months. What are the complaints? It was surely star, surely man of the match. No, I'm taking the piss. 4 for me. If I'm giving, won't let me take the star off. It's got me locked in. It will do. No, I think a 4, because it's accumulation with Rashford. It's the frustration, it's the favouritism, and 2 crosses ain't enough. He's 26. He used to be one of the best players in Europe, and we're saying that 2 crosses in 3 games is enough. It's Ten Hag's fault, but it's a 4 from me. Xerxes is a new player. I'm glad that he's not been mentioned that much. I give him honestly 4. I want to skirt over this one. He's a new player. It's his first game in a Manchester United shirt. He looks off the pace. He should have scored 2 goals. And he needs to put a lot of work in. But it's early days. It's early days. And I think that is, what I would say about that. How do I get... I'm trying to get some subtitles on here because Ten Hag's talking. I'll get it later. Okay. Maguire didn't do anything wrong. 5. Collier. I'd probably give Collier a 6. And my man of the match, actually. And I'll explain why. Played 45 minutes. Thrown in, not just thrown in at the deep end. Thrown off a fucking cliff into the sea. Swam. Did okay. Horrible position to get thrown into. And did okay. And I think the fact that he came out of that is one of the positives because he could have sunk. So I think, for me, he's my man of the match. That's about it. Eriksen, didn't even know he came on. Don't know why he came on. Ahmad actually came on and did all right. Didn't do anything wrong. Could have got man of the match as well. Ahmad really embarrassed Ten Hag, actually, because, he is our best right winger. Garnacho's better off the left. Okay. I'm trying to think here. So he's not really at fault for Casemiro. That's individual shit. But he is responsible for the setup. He is responsible for the favouritism. He is responsible for the subs. And it's Liverpool too. Yeah, 2. I agree. Look, it's embarrassing. and unacceptable to lose to Liverpool. It's embarrassing his favouritism, and it's embarrassing how much space there is in the midfield. So, yeah, I think I've got to go for a 2 on that one. I will go for a 2. It was shit. A number 2. Ahmad got you man of the match. No problem with that. Toby Collier actually came in second with 26%. So there you go. God knows who was voting for other people and why. Oh, Rashford got 92. No, he didn't really. Yes, that's how it stands. Look, I could talk and talk and talk, but they've been waiting on the fan forum very, very patiently. So we should get over to the studio there and let them have their say. Thanks everyone for tuning in. It's a tough one, and there's going to be a lot to digest over the international break. All I would say is on the poll, Ten Hag in 48% and Ten Hag out 52%. To be honest with you, I think Ten Hag should be very, very happy that it's nearly 50-50, because the reaction to an unacceptable loss like that could have been a little bit more out. But I agree. It's not time to sack him, but he's well on the road to sacking himself. Let's see what they've got to say on the fan forum. There's some strong opinions coming in there. Take care. I'll speak to you in a bit. I'm off down the pub.